Hello, this is your host, Protector General and Protector of the Omega 13 podcast, and today's guest we have is fresherluke, a former storyboard artist for multiple studios in Hollywood, as well as an independent artist as well. I hope you enjoyed the podcast as much as we did. I hope you enjoy. Hello, this is your boy, the Omega 13 Protector, Defender, in general, and as well as host of the Omega 13 Dimension podcast. And today we have our guest, fresherluke, which he's known for doing cartoon, that Nickelodeon pilot that's really awesome, which I couldn't think of the name of the moment.
Dungeon Crawlers?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's really has promise. As well, he worked on some other cartoons in the past, and I'll let you do your thing, fresherluke.
Sure. Hi. I don't know what my thing is. What do you need exactly?
Basically, you're what you do and whatnot, and besides being famous for that one Nickelodeon pilot.
I don't even think I'm famous for that, man.
What? You're not even famous for that? Oh
No.
Yeah, you have to be like a hit show and whatnot. One more thing crazy about Hollywood showbiz.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So my name is fresherluke. I was a storyboard artist within the animation industry. I am now an independent artist, and I am currently trying to crowdfund an independent comic called Forsaken Gods on Indiegogo.
That's really interesting. Yes. Again, your volume's kind of low because of my headphones. Oh. But okay. Can you if you have the chance, you put your headphones a little louder, please, if you can.
I don't know how to do that.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just do it.
Maybe it's better than nothing. It might be a Zoom thing.
That too, or just my pink sucky headphones.
Wait, hang on. There's audio settings.
Okay.
All right. Hold on. How's this?
A bit better.
How's that? Test.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Is that louder?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it was audio settings.
And how I discovered, can I talk for a moment? How
Sure.
I discovered you is when you look, and when I was on Twitter and I was looking on like a post that Black Sage D Gamer 1 posted about it, and he talked about it. I forgot the topic you're talking about, and you link up to a video where you talk about some dude and how you explain about the animation industry and whatnot, and I kind of felt bad for you.
Oh, thanks. I'm not looking for a pity party, but I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I know you're not looking for pity, but that's just me.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, hold on for a moment. I have to do something.
Sure.
Okay. So sorry about that. To do some stuff, and we're live again. So what were you saying before I have to do something? I have to pause.
I forgot.
Yeah, same here, dude. But let's just change the topic instead. How you got into the animation field, and what bring you to animation, and why you love being an artist.
Damn, those are a lot of questions. Which one do you want me to answer first?
The one, the introduction, how you got into the arts in the first place.
All right. Well, I mean, it depends. Like it could be one or the other. But how I got into it in the first place.
Yeah.
So I was living and growing up in Australia, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, like what path I wanted to take, and I didn't really have any clue. And it was coming towards the end of high school for me, and this movie came out on VHS, which I guess kind of dates my age pretty well. The movie in question was, of course, Akira, and when I saw that movie,
let me hold on. I got something to show you. Quick.
Oh yeah, you got the.
I got this on.
Oh, you got it.
It's one of my favorite animes of all time.
Yeah,
love the animation. It's timeless. The story's amazing. The characters are incredible. You continue before we just change it to like fanboying over Akira for 2 hours straight. But
well, yeah, I mean, it's easy to do because it's such a I don't know. It's one of those movies up there with like The Godfather, right? But for animation.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that film, it blew my mind, my tiny little mind, and I was like, oh, I want to do something like that. And so I found out that there was a animation course at the college, a college in Queensland. And so it was like a 3-year course. So I took the course, and it was pretty, how to describe it? I learned a lot, but it was kind of bad at the same time.
It's one of those mediocre classes, but at least you got the concept on what's animation, how things work, even though the teachers weren't that great.
Yeah, it was kind of a mixed bag because I definitely felt I did grow as an artist, because before that, like, I didn't really know how to draw that well. And then like, they had mandatory life drawing as part of the class curriculum.
Yeah.
And when I took that, I really started to really understand what it meant to draw and observe the world around me and observe what was in front of me and sort of interpret that into page. And I really, I guess, loosened up as an artist, because I drew like very stiff and robotic figures up until that point. And so that really helped me. But at the same time, they were behind the 8 ball. This was when 3D was really starting to, kick up and take off. I think it was around that time that, it was around the 90s. So it was around that time that Toy Story came out. Yeah, and that took the world by storm. And I mean, they had 3D programs, but the only person who was teaching us 3D properly, they fired him. And they replaced him with some guy. Yeah, they replaced him with some dude who didn't know anything. And so, it was it was so, well, it wasn't that he didn't know anything, he just didn't know how to teach. It was so bad. So we didn't learn anything, and it was horrible. But anyway, I graduated, and I got my first job at this studio, which was run by this guy who had a criminal record, and he had ADD, and he was just an insane person to work with, because he had seen Toy Story, and so he thought, a 3D thing about toys. If I do this similar thing, I'll become rich like them. And of course, that never happened. Never happened.
Nope.
And so he treated his employees really bad. He treated them so bad that all the 3D artists actually banded together and formed a union to fight back against him. And they didn't include us in it. It was like me and one other guy doing the storyboards and all the character designs and the art direction for the whole thing.
You did all the dirty work.
Well, we did so much of it, but we didn't know any different, and he paid us peanuts.
Oh yeah, he treated you like crap too. Man, I would have just quit, man.
Well, I mean, I did several times, but it was the only work I could get. So I would quit, and then I would get poor, and then I would come crawling back.
Yeah.
And he would take me back in. So, but he had ties with like the local organized crime as well.
Ooh.
It was horrible.
Yeah. That sounds like a nightmare.
Oh, well, the other crazy thing was he had actually roped in like these guys as investors, and the contract was in such a way whereas if they pulled out, because it was just a trash fire from day one. If they had pulled out, then he would have gotten like, I guess, like a kill fee, and it was like some exorbitant amount. So they had to stay with him.
Yeah.
And so they were just paying him this money to just fuck around. And like the studio that they'd given him was like the top floor of like those multi-story like parking lots.
Yeah.
It was like the top floor of that. It wasn't even part of the main building.
Damn! It's just they just put you in a secondary building and half-assed the development area as well. It's not even probably a studio. It's just a bunch of computers and some. Well,
stuff. It was sort of a studio, but it was dingy as all hell, and
it's half-assed. Basically.
It was dodgy as fuck. So anyway,
shady. Yeah.
That all went tits up, and so I was like, damn, and I couldn't get any storyboard work. And it was funnily enough, though, it was when I was on that I actually met a mentor. They'd flown in this guy who had worked on the Super Friends and a bunch of other stuff.
He's one of those old school guys that probably knows, like, he's been in the animation industry since the 70s or so. Continue.
Oh yeah, like Alex Toth taught him how to draw. and he was amazing. And he was like a breath of fresh air. He was like the one
that basically taught you everything you knew today.
Well, yeah, he really taught me, yeah, all the very important fundamentals, I think, and he really set me on an important path. So I guess that was like the one good thing about that whole experience. Which, you know, looking back at it, I'm glad that I had it, because he really, like, I was still struggling as an artist. Like like, another thing about me is that I have like a learning disability. It's really hard for me to learn new things.
Yeah.
And he really put things into sharp focus for me. And so that was like another step of my artistic evolution. And so after all of that went tits up and I kind of quit it for good, I went back to sort of like this private college. It was like a mini private college to learn 3D properly. And so I learned 3D, and I had a friend that I had met through an online forum who was actually in the same city as me in Queensland, in Brisbane. And he was like, oh, you know, if you learn 3D and do like the 3D test, I can get you in as an environment artist at this video game company that I'm working at. So I was like, okay. So I you know, I did the best I could and spent a couple of months there. And I asked my parents, you know, for a loan, and so I could focus on studying that. And they gave me that loan. And they gave me, you know, I applied for 3D environment artist at this game studio, and you know, he helped me out as best as he could. I was really bad at it, like really bad.
Well, it must be embarrassing to show that. No offense.
Yeah, I'm never going to show that. But I did the test, and I just passed the test, barely passed the test. So I got in, and it was thanks to him, more or less, that I got in, because I really needed a job. So I did that job for 3 years, and that was, that was pretty. I mean, it started out good for the first 6 months, and then it got bad because they were looking to expand. It was like a small team initially, like a team of, I think, like 10 or 15 people or something like that. And they were like, oh, we're moving into a new office and we're going to expand the team. So there's like 2 development teams and 1 production team, so that we can keep producing, you know, more titles like on a more regular thing, keep everyone employed. And it was around then that the game console generations jumped. I think it was like generation 2 to generation 3.
Yeah, and, around PlayStation and whatnot.
Yeah. And so when that happened, that was like a huge adjustment, because up until that point, I think we'd been doing work for PlayStation 2 era kind of stuff. So it's like very low poly and very, very low resolution in the textures. And so then it jumped. And so that was really hard for me to adjust to. And then, and I was just not enjoying it. Like my heart wasn't in it. Like it was just a
chore.
It was just a job, you know?
Yeah.
So.
I understand how you feel, like me going to McDonald's.
Yeah, but
like,
for video games, right?
Yes, like boring. Like, it isn't for me, man. I'm still here.
I mean, even having said that, like, I still understand the. I mean, look, it was a learning experience. Like, it also helped me understand sort of like 3D space and sort of perspective, and how to apply it and sort of how to map it in my head. But I haven't really touched 3D since then. I probably should get back into it, but just for fun. And so anyway, long story short, it was, things were just going bad for worse for me from there. And the 2008 financial crash happened. And when that happened, I was like one of the first people on the chopping block. And then the whole company folded soon afterwards.
Damn.
And
not even a single hit. That company.
Yeah. No, they had a single hit. I won't get into that because obviously the 12 psychopaths online who follow me around are always trying to find things to use against
destroy you. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. So I got to be careful with what I say.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that happened, and there was a huge brouhaha that happened as a result because of the people they brought in for the second team. There were a bunch of Canadians, and they were all really dodgy as fuck. They basically ate it up. Basically, the long and short of it was that they extorted the studio we were at. They extorted a bunch of money out of them, which helped bankrupt the company. And then they pissed off back to Canada and just, went on to have great, amazing careers doing the same thing, because they were like, oh, it was 2008 crash. They had carte blanche to basically rewrite the narrative to cast themselves as good workers, and so that got them like top positions wherever they wanted to go. And but the rest of us in Australia were left holding the bag. And when the 2008 crash happened, basically the entire, I guess, the market for the workforce market got flooded with all of these highly skilled game developers, and it was practically impossible for me to get a job at that point, because everyone was looking for a job, because all the studios were closing at that point. Because in Australia, they rely on a lot of US contracts to bring money in and get stuff developed.
And they're stuck and they're looking for work. So as a result, you moved to the US. Or
well,
that's a different story.
No, that's part of the story. Just let me finish it.
Yeah.
So I moved down to Melbourne. I'd managed to get a job down in Melbourne, and because of the financial crash, it was kind of a shockwave effect, or an aftershock effect, say of an earthquake. Because I managed to get another job at this other studio. It was like a smaller studio as a 3D environment artist, and then they folded. And so then I was sort of like, shit out of luck at that point, because no one was hiring anyone at that point. And so I was pretty much homeless. I didn't have much money left in the bank. I put everything in my car, and I drove back up to Queensland, which is like a 2-day drive. And that was really harrowing. And the people that I thought were my friends, that I thought I could like crash on their couch, they wouldn't all of a sudden they decided not to be my friend. Damn. And so then long story short, I bought a one-way ticket at that point. I think this was like 2009 or end of 2009. I bought a one-way ticket from Queensland to LA, and I got there to LA, and I didn't know anyone there in LA. Well, I sort of did, but I didn't know where they were, or who they were, where they were in LA. And so I ended up in sort of the, what do you call it, Compton?
Yeah.
The rough part of LA. And I didn't know that at the time, until gunshots started firing and people started dying around me.
Yeah.
And so I managed to hook up with some contacts that I'd made on an online forum, and found out that they were living in LA. And so I couch surfed with those people, and it was like night and day in regards to the way those people treated me in relation to the people that treated me badly in Australia.
Yeah.
Because they were like, yeah, you need somewhere to stay? Yeah, just sleep on the couch. No problem. You can stay here for like a week. And so I did that for a little bit, about 6 months. And I was applying. I think the first job I got was I was doing Photoshop touch-up, like cleaning up these animation panels that they did for the intro of a Ridley Scott film. I think it was Robin Hood. And the intro credit sequence was sort of like this rotoscope, like paint animation that some guy had done. But there was like, when they took the photos of it, there was like all this dust and noise on it.
Yeah.
And so I had to go in with like the healing tool and sort of like erase those bit by bit. Mm-hmm. And I got paid like $300 something bucks or $400 for that. And then immediately after, because I've been applying as a storyboard artist to all these all the different studios there, like Nickelodeon and stuff like that. And I eventually got hired to work as a storyboard artist on Ben 10 Ultimate Alien.
Nice.
And from there I worked as a storyboard artist at all these different places.
I think I've seen some of those episodes of Ultimate Alien. I saw a lot of Alien Force though.
Yeah, I forget which one it was, but a lot of them were the showrunner was what's his name, Glenn Murakami. And
Teen
it
Titans
was
fame and whatnot. Yeah, that guy.
like he did Ben 10, and then I think he did Teen Titans after that.
He did Teen Titans first and then Ben 10.
Oh, it was? All right, okay.
Yeah.
My mistake.
Yeah, I grew up with those shows.
All right, well there you go. And it was when I was on Ben 10 that it was like another step in my artistic evolution, because I guess up until that point I really was struggling to do proper storyboards, and then it was thanks to Matthew Youngberg, who was my director. He really helped sort of guide me through it and show me sort of like the best stuff, and he was really patient with me, and he really helped forge me into the storyboard artist that I am today, and I probably couldn't have done it without him. So yeah,
that's really nice to see mentors that actually help you. Man, you went through a lot. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, I'm still going through more now.
Yeah.
So it's like my life is just a constant tragedy. And maybe that's maybe that's my fault, because the common denominator is me, but whatever.
But always with a bunch of tragedy, you get this one big shot and you'll probably make it big. You don't know it yet, but whatever you do, just take it.
I try, but I think I'm getting up there now in the age bracket, so I think maybe my time is coming past. So I don't know. Anyway, that's life.
Besides like doing storyboard artists and whatnot, what's your type of hobbies? Any besides watching anime or cartoons and whatnot?
I mean, I used to surf, but I came here to America and I kind of forgot how to surf. Like I lost a lot on my balance.
Yeah.
I haven't really had much in regards to hobbies. I've been super obsessed with drawing and animation, which I guess makes me boring. But like boring. Back. Well, I do. I mean, you gotta. But I mean, I guess another hobby I did when I was later on was going to the gym a lot. I feel like going to the gym. Yeah, going to the gym was really good. It really helped clear my head. But that's sort of like later on in the lore of that is my life. So so that's I'm pretty boring in that regard. It's funny. It's like I'm so boring, and yet I would get so many ladies just throwing themselves at me because of my accent.
Yeah, the funny thing about Australian. No offense, but I thought you were British, Mr. Luke. If I could.
Oh, that's fine.
I like the British accent for some reason. It sounds more.
I hate the British accent. I think it's horrible.
That's just you, though.
Yeah, maybe.
Proper English, yeah, but whatever. So besides with that and your hobbies, but I know you're kind of like too busy to be playing games and whatnot, but. But
I'm trying to get away from doing that, because as you've seen, Joe Rogan thinks games are bad because they're so fun.
That's with every hobby, dude. Same with jiu-jitsu, same with wrestling, same with making artwork or storyboards, or same with skateboarding. But that's with our next topic with hobbies, because most people, especially in America or so, people are complaining about Dungeons and Dragons is bad, or video games is bad, or skateboarding brings out delinquents and it's for delinquents and whatnot. And I'm like, please shut up. Just let them enjoy their fun. At least they're not smoking pot, or robbing stores.
Yeah, at least they're they're using it a little more constructively than that.
Yeah, because that's why people are kind of pissed off and angry in America, because people tend to care about on social media. I hope this gets a bunch of likes and follows and whatnot.
Yeah.
Instead of just like having a genuine conversation like we're doing right now. We live on two different sides of the planet, and right now we're living the two different sides of the country. We have different parts of life. I love video games. My first game console was Turbo Graphics, but for the longest time, it was the Nintendo 64. With Super Mario 64, my favorite Star Fox 64, which I remember fondly to this day. I was like 97 or so. I was born in 92. I was like a kid then.
Yeah. Yeah. Good time. Good time to be a
It
kid.
is basically.
Yeah.
But for my mom told me or dad told me about Bonks on TurboGrafx. It's a baby caveman that bumps his
Yeah.
head on enemies.
Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah.
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 Oh,
Good
not
times.
not
Good
many people
times.
notice that one.
No, they don't. There was Alex the Kid. That was another one.
Alex Kidd by Sega.
Yeah, I think
I'm
so.
more
Yeah.
of a Sonic fan.
Yeah.
Shining
No,
Force,
that's fair enough. Yeah.
Shining Force, as well as Streets of Rage and Shinobi 3.
Yeah.
Those are
Classics.
yeah,
Classics.
classics. The 16-bit were classics because they know how to. If you don't mind, I can jump to like the 16-bit era if it's okay with you.
Sure. I mean, I don't.
I just want you to be comfortable and whatnot. I don't want to like bully the host and whatnot and just talk about what I like.
I mean, I don't know what I could tell you. I didn't get to work in the 16-bit era. That was before
Hey, yeah,
my
I don't
time.
blame you, dude. You're still in school then, and I'm still a kid or a toddler then.
Yeah.
So with the 16-bit era, the graphics were impressive. The console wars actually mean something. Like they're exclusives everywhere.
Mm.
Mortal
Mm.
Kombat, you get more violence and gore and blood in the Genesis version than the kiddie Super Nintendo version. You get Super Mario World, you get Sonic the Hedgehog. You got Shining Force, we got what's the RPG? Various RPGs like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasies, Streets of Rage, you got Final Fight, etc., etc.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
people with the limitations they had, people put talent into those games.
Sure.
From like
Yeah.
the writing to the gameplay and even the soundtracks as well. Because it's more like they put more emphasis on those elements, unlike today. I was surfing on Twitter recently, and there was this guy who said when he was testing out games, and the game devs were like thinking to themselves, "Man, I never seen a game journalist does that before. Do that." That ring me a bell. That
Mm.
modern gaming journals don't tend to play video games.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. No, that is true. Yeah. Yeah.
because the games that they praise, like Last of Us and all these overrated games, they tend to be like story-driven movies, interactive movies. I don't mind an interactive movie, but some of them don't interest me. I'm more to the anime style artwork or really good gameplay
Sure. Yeah.
because I'm mostly an artist myself, and I'm mostly like the who draws pictures, not like the guy who like storyboards and what that crap. No, I'm like the guy who like just says, maybe I should stick into writing and maybe just use my drawings as concept art.
Sure. Yeah. That sounds good too.
Yeah, and trust me, I do not want to pitch my ideas to Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network or Disney because I want to be fully controlled by myself. And the only ways you can do it is by the internet these days.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's true. And, we're seeing that a lot these days also. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
happening.
yeah, and also it's like a click to just get into the animation industry, basically.
Well, yeah, that is true.
You
Yeah.
piss off one dude and you're done. That's what I keep hearing about.
Well, yeah, I mean, uh, um, that's probably, I would have firsthand knowledge of that. Absolutely. You're
Oh
absolutely
yeah,
right.
I don't want to give you bad memories
That's fine.
because basically
But,
you probably
but
said
what,
that to multiple people already that gave you a chance to interview you, and
yeah. So you're familiar with that already?
some of it though, but some of
Okay.
it I had to pause the video because I was getting upset.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's just testament to how, I guess, horrible of an experience it was. I mean, if you're just listening to it and getting upset, you can imagine what it was like having experienced it as well.
Yep.
So it's not a fun time
No.
if you. Well, yeah, and plus the other thing I guess is that the animation industry it's a small industry as well. So relatively small in relation
Yeah,
to
that's
other
why they're not getting
industries.
any respect from their Hollywood peers. I think they think animation's for kids and it's only for losers that work on it.
Mm. Which yeah, I mean, then they're definitely not helping dispel that myth.
Nope. With hard every Bruce Timm and every great artist or storyboard writer, there's a bunch of guys that ruin it for everyone.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, isn't that the old saying, like, one bad apple spoils the bunch? So
Yep.
how about a bunch of them? So
Yeah.
yeah, uh, yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I'm mostly like I forgive my age and whatnot. I'm 28 years old, but I tend to enjoy more. Besides JC Quintel's work with regular show and his new show. What's his show?
Close enough.
Close Enough. Yeah, it's like the only creator I actually enjoy watching his work.
Really?
Yes, seriously. Most modern times. Forget regular show. Forget Adventure Time. The earlier seasons were great. And screw Steven Universe. I cannot stand that shit.
Well, I mean, that's
Rebecca
interesting.
Silver, but that's my
Rebecca
opinion.
Sugar?
Yes. I don't like your work on Steven Universe.
Well, it's really interesting because I have done storyboards for Steven Universe.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And it was a nightmare.
It wasn't that bad. I think I did storyboards, freelance storyboards on one episode I think it was season 1 actually. This is when I thought it had great potential. I thought it might be cool.
Same here, dude. The season 1, it has great potential, and then it falls apart because they forgot the foundations, what made it good. Besides the horrific fandom, man. Oh, they make the Sonic fandom look like saints. I'm serious.
Well, I think all the Sonic fandom want to do is just have sex with Sonic, don't they? Whereas the Steven Universe fandom just want young girls to commit suicide.
Yep. What's wrong with those people, man? Modern Western animation just sucks with their fandoms and whatnot. They had potential on their shows, and it just falls on the ground. The last good cartoon has to be with Avatar: The Last Airbender. That was the last good Nicktoon I actually enjoyed. Korra was okay, but the Avatar is still a classic even to this day.
Yeah.
Great production values, great voice acting, great writing, great animation, and I just love the bendings, basically based on Tai Chi.
Sure. Well, I think it was based on different
Chinese martial arts and whatnot.
Yeah, like different bendings were based on different styles of martial arts. So, I agree. It was probably one of the last really entertaining shows that I think anyone could enjoy. Like even adults could sit down and enjoy it with their kids.
Yes. And it's not that speaking with kids, they're ignoring their child audience, to be honest. Like basically, and I'm going to go on a little personal tangent here.
Okay.
Basically, Western animation, like Steven Universe or any of these modern shows, basically like focuses on the grown fans, like my age, instead of their target audience, which is for kids. Most kids these days don't get the references as well as the story elements of those type of shows. Back in the day, we got Teen Titans, we got good writing. We got like stuff that kids can understand. Besides the whole FCC and their regulations, but that's another story, But
I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you have questions for me, or are you going to? I'm not trying to be rude, but do you have questions, or you hit a rant, or what's the deal with this?
Basically, I'm just going on before I get into the question. What's your thoughts on the Western animation industry? Thanks for the reminder.
No, that's fine. It's just I've obviously got work to do, and I'm sure you've got a busy day as well. So I've only got an hour to do this. So if you've got lots of questions, it's probably best that we get through them.
Let's just get through the questions. Besides the next one, with what's your thoughts on the Western animation industry? I know you're kind of busy. Thanks for your time and whatnot, but
that's fine. That's fine. My thoughts on the Western animation industry. I think right now it's in a really bad place. There's a lot of gatekeeping and nepotism going on, and they're driving away a lot of talent. Having said that, obviously there are little pockets here and there of good stuff, but they seem few and far between. Overall, I think they've here in Hollywood, as well as everyone else in Hollywood, they have embraced identity politics, and they've placed sort of like virtue signaling and identity and all the all the things that you and I know of that we know destroys culture and media. They've placed that at the top of the hierarchy above good story and good character and good messages, and instead have decided to preach to their audience and try to I guess if I'm going to take this to an extreme way, they're trying to indoctrinate the next generation so that they can have, well, I guess it's the same thing that happened in the colleges. They can have a new batch of I guess useful idiots that they can then sick on whatever it is that they're not pleased with and reshape it in their own image. And so I think essentially they want to play God with children's minds. And that's not what animation is about. Like, it's not what entertainment is about. Entertainment is about giving people relief, giving people an escape, maybe, helping to reinforce the foundations of our culture, which is, regardless of the way you were born, be you white, black, or anything else, or male or female, or gay or straight, these are not the things that define you. What define you is, how well you're going to contribute to society and whether or not you're going to help others, right? And not be selfish and do the right thing. But that seems to not be the messages that are being communicated anymore. It seems to be the exact opposite. Like it's a very petty and selfish messages that they're communicating. So,
which is a shame, because he got these projects that had great potential, and then over time it becomes no wonder why kids are playing video games or going on their tablets these days, because they're not connecting to it.
Well, I mean, that might be true. I think that is mostly true. But I think what's probably more insidious is that because kids' minds are very malleable, they'll accept whatever is presented to them. I think maybe they are accepting it, and that's not a good thing. I mean, we got to be teaching kids, I guess, I'm going to say proper morals, and proper objective truths, like a lot of these people are now, science deniers, as it were. Like they deny the fact that there are only two genders. Like, that's a genetics thing. Like, the term gender and sex are interchangeable. They mean the same thing. But now, they're they're taking more of a postmodernist view where, there is no objective reality. It's all relative. So if you feel like you're a girl one day or a boy the other, then that's perfectly
fine.
That's legitimate, which it isn't. It just means that you're delusional. And if any, hoity-toity medical expert comes along and tells you otherwise, then they're just a racist and you should ignore them, which is not, that's a breakdown of society and the social contract, you know what I mean? Like, the reason why we've been able to progress society as far as we have is because we've all been able to agree on these objective truths, like things that we have figured out a long time ago, and now they are pushing this
view mindset.
Yeah, this almost magical thinking of how to view the world, which is not. And if you're pushing magical thinking, I mean, it's horseshoe theory in plain sight. It's like, people on the right push magical thinking through Christianity and stuff like that. And, they denied things like Darwin's theory of evolution, which is, obviously anti-science as well. And now they're sort of, the people on, the extreme left are doing the exact same thing, but it's through some backdoor way, because, obviously gender and genetics, they're part of our evolutionary tree. So I'm surprised that they can say that they love the science, so to say, on one hand, but then turn around and decry biological science as, a white male, patriarchal, social construct, which is
ridiculous. Everybody has a patriarchy and a social construct, social ladder. Every culture has it, from Africa to
Yeah.
India. It's
Yeah.
basically they're denying human nature.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're denying who we are as humans and how we've evolved. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's scary stuff, because that's sort of the bedrock of who we are as a species, and from that, what has sprouted from that has been our society as a result. They think it's the other way around. It's in reverse. Like, our society determines what we are as a species, but it's not. It's the other way around. So they've got, yeah, people like Rebecca Sugar, I'm assuming, have these things backwards. And to make matters worse, they're not willing to have that discussion. They just want to shout you down. So,
Yeah.
or blacklist you, as they've done with me, or do anything they can to, sort of
Make your life a
maintain
miserable
this.
hell.
Will make my life a miserable hell, but also everybody else's life a miserable hell, because they're just miserable people who didn't get their way this one time, and now everyone has to suffer. If they don't get what they want, then nobody can get what they want. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So narcissism is on the rise. Sociopathy is on the rise.
As you see on Twitter.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's thanks to social media that this is happening. But we're getting a bit off track anyway. So,
okay, yeah. So besides, then the next question will be, what are your suggestions if you want people to chase being a storyboard artist or character designer?
Good question. Dang, that's a really good question. I would say, well, I mean, there's a lot more resources now these days.
Yeah.
I would say learn your fundamentals in drawing first. So things like perspective, things like life drawing, things like, construction and shapes and draftsmanship. Really get that down first, because that is the bedrock that you will need to build upon before you really start to do anything. I mean, even the animators in Japan, before they start drawing anime, they have to understand, the basic fundamentals.
Basic fundamentals like anatomy, how the shapes look, and yada yada.
Yeah, and how to arrange those shapes, and things like what do you call them? Like sort of like, I guess, motion lines or through lines. It's sort of like a skeleton, but it sort of like gives fluidity to the figure, and and as you said, anatomy, like how the body is built. But obviously right now, they seem to be in denial of anatomy.
Yeah.
So it's easier now more than ever to have an edge over the current competition, because these people haven't really bothered to draw.
Study the actual ways of animation and how shapes work and whatnot.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
That connects to our other question before you wanted to continue. What are your thoughts on the whole anime and whatnot and manga, and how young people are getting into it now and being influenced by it?
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, look, I love anime and I love manga. I got nothing against it. I mean, kids are gonna like what they like, so I mean, you can't really stop that. I would say if you're an artist and you wanna, stick out from the crowd, and by extension be seen as unique and more valuable as an artist, I would say don't copy manga and anime, at least not right away. I would say, copy the classics, copy some great artists whose names escape my mind right now. Great Western artists, because you're not Japanese, you're Western. And the other thing is manga and anime, its roots start with, the early days of
Brothers, and whatnot. Yeah.
It was actually, they say Osamu
Tezuka
was the godfather of anime and manga, and that's true. But the thing was Tezuka learned how to make that big doughy-eyed style with the sort of like cherub features through watching films like Bambi, which was designed by Preston Blair. And there's a whole bunch of Preston Blair animation books out there right now, and you could probably find them online for free as well.
And continue.
Well, I was going to say, don't dub the dub, go to the original source
Source.
and learn from that. Like, you know, if there wasn't Disney, then you wouldn't have anime right now. Like,
Yeah.
it's
And the fun fact is, sorry about the sudden interruption.
no, it's fine. I
It's
tend
related
to
to
I
this.
tend to trail
Yeah,
off.
because basically, my friend, like you said, it goes to what you said. But before Osamu Tezuka, there were already Japanese anime in the style of Fletcher cartoons.
Yeah,
It's really from the force. It's really fascinating. It's
yeah,
because, like you said, it was influenced by American animation, like from Fletcher's or from Terry Toons or the MGM or Warner Brothers or Disney.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
And most
absolutely.
weebs or anime fans, no offense, they don't tend to focus on those elements, because they
Yeah,
studied from the pros,
yeah.
and it shows. They tend to be like very tropey, instead of like being original and focusing on what actually made the foundations great.
Well, yeah, that's true. And I guess that's kind of the thing that separates quote unquote, to separate the men from the boys is
Yeah.
Those people who are, you got the posers, right? The ones who you're just like, oh, I love anime because it's got big eyes and flashy. But that's just, you really only understand the surface detail. You don't really understand the inner mechanics of what makes anime great, right? And that's very true of a lot of people who are now working in the animation industry here in Hollywood as well. Like, you know, they're making all these shows that sort of look like anime, but they're like a poor man's anime.
Yeah.
And it's not, but even then it's like, I mean, a great example is the new She-Ra. Like, that's such an great example. Like, it's not even very good looking anime. It's like very bad looking anime.
Yeah, bad looking bad looking animation, period.
And well, right. And so, but on top of that, it's got like a very horrible story. Like, there's
Yes, they don't
nothing.
know how to create a story. They don't know how to. They don't storyboards. They don't know how to write a plot.
True. Well, I mean, I think I would agree with that. Like, I mean, I guess that kind of comes to the whole theory of good storytelling. Like, every story has to have a point. Like, I mean, if you want to compare it to anime, like a great anime that is probably the one that I always point to is My Hero Academia, which actually does have a point. Like, its point is, you know, to show sort of what it means to sort of work hard and strive to achieve a goal. Whereas with She-Ra, the point is if you're gay and you want to get with someone, you have to act like a bitch and hurt them, which
Yeah, it's
is
kind of
kind of,
yandere-ish. Sorry about the
yeah.
term, but
Because
that's kind
have
of
you
like
seen it?
crazy.
Have you
Some
seen?
parts, yeah. I'm not into. Just like poof, like not my thing. The art style, no. Thundercats, sure, no.
Well,
It
I mean,
starts getting more lazy and lazy as time goes on.
well,
More
yeah. I
cheaper to
mean,
make. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. I mean, it's part of it is the studios are trying to cut costs, and so a lot of the actual, you know, animation, you know, the actual drawing the frames production is done in Korea, and it's usually done at these studios where they're just hiring whoever, right? They're
yeah.
not really. It's a machine that just spits out something that you could sort of call art, but not really.
Not really. Just make sure
Um,
whatever it sticks.
yeah, as long as it sort of moves and looks close enough, then
Yeah,
pack it up and sell it, right?
yeah,
Whereas in Japan, they're just working incredibly hard to better themselves all the time, and it's very
yeah.
as much like night and day. And the other thing is like Japan is sort of, they've rejected this identity politics kind
Thank
of
God.
nepotism sort of thing, which I think is, you know, more credit to them for that, because I really think it really does affect the overall
Creativity
product.
process.
Yeah, as a result. So I think America. I mean, this is true of everything now. With everything we're seeing, I think not only animation but video games and comic books as well, and you know, these things that you know, are part of sort of building the culture are just being hollowed out and utterly destroyed and just made mediocre as a result.
Yep. And it's going
And
to cause another crash.
oh yeah, definitely, it definitely will. Yeah.
Because most of these kids probably will not pick up a comic book. They mostly remember Marvel is through the MCU in the future. They don't even know about the Avengers and their actual origins through comic books, for an example.
Yeah, yeah.
I have the MCU is okay, but I prefer mostly like animation and movies from the 90s and 80s or whatever, because
Yeah, well, I mean, times change, but I do agree. Like there was a certain bit of magic back then that I think we
yeah.
could recapture. It's just, yeah, it's just we're going through quite the rough patch right now. It's like a 4-year rough patch. So
Yeah. Mostly I'm going to say like 15 years. Call me
really,
insane, but 15 years that they keep doing this crap, chasing talent out due to what they're doing.
mm,
And we're just getting to the beat. Of a roller coaster. You're just
yeah.
waiting, and then you're on the roller coaster. We're on that phase now, going up the coaster to the first hill, the first drop.
Well,
That's where we're at right now. When we get to the
I thought
drop,
we're already at the drop. We're already going down.
we're about to go down,
Okay.
and it will
Oh,
be
right.
it will
Yeah.
be so bad that many studios will probably got to go out of business, and it'll make
Well,
Warner Media's
I don't
consolidation
know. I
efforts look
don't.
like a saint. I'm actually, it's a funny now, but I'm being serious, but
I know. Well, I laugh because I have to laugh because if I don't laugh, I'm going to be screaming in terror.
yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Yup. Disney gotten too big, and now they soon have to downsize, and Warner Brothers has to consolidate their shit.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, yeah, I've seen this happen before. Like, this was sort of the same thing that sort of happened just before the 2008 crash.
Yeah.
Like these companies started buying up all these smaller companies because obviously, yeah, Disney's a great example. Like they bought up Fox and Lucasfilm,
Muppets.
and now we've got them. Now they're bleeding like cash, like nobody's business.
Yeah.
I don't know what it'll mean. I don't know if they'll crash because there is that saying of too big to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everything's up for grabs right now. I feel like,
Yeah.
but yeah, things have just it's such a strange time where you just can't predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like things are so up in the air right now. It's insane. But anyway, yeah, it is what it is.
Okay, I know you're really busy, fresherluke, and any last words before we go? Because
well, do you have any questions? I can take 1 or 2 more questions.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so besides that, and what are your suggestions how to fix the animation industry if you have the opportunity to?
That's pretty simple. I would well, the first problem is an organization called Women in Animation. I would have the union denounce them. Well, I would have them. It's hard to disband them because they're a non-profit. But I would right now the Animation Guild here in Hollywood and Women in Animation are actually collaborating, which is a conflict of interest. Yeah. I would actually have them separate. I don't know how that would happen because a lot of Women in Animation members are holding top guild positions.
Basically, they're powerful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. That would be step 1. Step 2 would be take women in animation. I would take Women in Animation, the organization, to court. If provided that Prop 209 doesn't pass, which is the repeal of civil rights legislation here in California.
What?
You didn't hear about this?
No, tell me about this law.
So they just voted on the California legislature just voted to repeal. Well, they voted to have Prop 209, which is a repeal of civil rights legislation that's been in place since the Martin Luther King days, and
they're trying to get rid of that.
Yeah, it's called the Affirmative Action Act, I think, and they're basically they're doing it on the premise of like, oh, you know, we need to get more minorities hired and blah 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 blah, so we need to repeal civil rights. But
why you repeal civil rights? That's an oxymoron right there.
It is. It absolutely is. And so
it's supposed to be protective of African Americans or minorities these days. And we're not talking about African Americans. We're talking about what about another like like a foreigner or another minority, he used that term, or POC, he used that term, and they can't get rights because it's actually an excuse to basically bar them if they don't see fit to their agendas.
Sort of, yeah. That's why they're doing it. But the problem is that door swings both ways. So I mean, they might get what they want, but that also means that, you know, if they're white supremacists in California, then they can put out signs up the front saying whites only.
Yep.
So you know, it's things are going bad here right now. Yeah. I guess I'll find out in November if it passes. But I would say that would be another step. Is if that doesn't pass, I would take women in animation to court, you know, suing them for you know, discrimination, because one of their mission statements is 50-50 gender parity within the creative fields of the animation you know, industry by 2025, and they've been doing that with impunity so far. I think there was a talk that they gave at the Annecy Animation Festival last year where they said that they were nearing their goal, which would explain why some of the people I used to know, males around my age who used to work in animation, are now struggling to find work right now because
got blackballed as well.
I don't know if they got blackballed, but I think because they were viewed as white and male, that, you know, people were giving them non-preferential treatment. I say that with quotation marks because you know what I mean. Like, they're just like, well, we're going to choose this other person based on their race rather than, you know, their actual skill. Yeah, and experience. And so, so that would be another thing. The other thing, and the thing is, like, these things I've kind of pointed out, they seem kind of simple, but they're very hard to implement because you need a lot of money to sort of take these companies to court, because they're obviously the studios that are sponsoring women in animation are multitudes. It's basically every major and minor animation studio, I think, in the world now is sponsoring women in animation. So they've got deep pockets now. I don't know what that would entail to raise the funds to do that. And I would take the studios to court as well for, I guess, being accomplices in this act of discrimination also. So those are the things just off the top of my head. I would, there's a whole bunch of other stuff I would probably do as well. I would probably, if I were God, I would probably say, you know, obviously right now, you know, the big thing is that women feel unsafe working alongside men. So if I were God, I would mandate that you have to segregate the sexes at the workplace. So you would have a workplace exclusively for women and a work. Well, yeah, it is healthy actually, and a workplace exclusively for men. And that way, that clears up the problem of sexual harassment claims, and also it allows you know, the best people to do the best work they can without interference, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's all the questions I have for today. And any last words before you go?
Support Forsaken Gods, back Forsaken Gods.
Yeah, on your Kickstarter.
On my Indiegogo.
Indiegogo, okay. And I'll have to say, and people, if you enjoy this podcast episode, please check out the other podcast episodes on the YouTube channel, as well as go on Spotify, subscribe to the podcast there, or Anchor, as well as give a like and a comment to show your support, even if it's criticism, and subscribe to the channel, as well as it helps me grow as a creator and improve. And don't forget that ring that blue bell. And that's all to say for now. Any last words before we shut down? Because it's getting kind of late where I'm at, like 10:13 p.m.
I'm good. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Okay, you too. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all to say for now. Sayonara and have a nice day.